Marcus Ashford built his fortune on lies, real estate deals sealed with blackmail, contracts signed under threat, government officials bought, controlled and discarded. Billions acquired through corruption, each dollar stained with someone else's suffering. The world saw a philanthropist in expensive suits, press conferences, charity donations, a carefully crafted image of respectability. Only the people inside the mansion knew the truth. The estate sprawled across private grounds, surrounded by walls and guards. Every room had cameras, every movement monitored. Control was Marcus's oxygen. Fear was his currency. His adopted son, Ethan, 10 years old, lived in silence within those walls. The boy had no mother, barely knew his father. He walked the hallways like a ghost, ignored, untouched, unloved. Expensive toys couldn't fill the emptiness. Neither could the staff who passed by without seeing him. Ethan had learned not to ask for things, not to speak, not to hope. Grace Chen arrived as a housemaid on a Tuesday morning. Young, quiet, competent. She cleaned rooms, kept the schedule, stayed invisible. That was the plan. But the moment she saw Ethan, something shifted. The boy watched her work from doorways and hallways. Not demanding, just present. When she dropped something, he'd quietly hand it back. When she folded clothes, he'd sit nearby, seeking nothing but company. Grace didn't push. She simply existed beside him with gentleness. She spoke softly. She listened. She smiled. Within weeks, Ethan followed her everywhere. It was the first time in his life someone had looked at him like he mattered. Marcus noticed immediately. His jaw tightened whenever they were together. His eyes went cold. "Stay away from the boy," he told her without explanation. But Grace couldn't. Not when Ethan needed her. Not when she could see the loneliness in his eyes, a loneliness she recognized in her own mirror. While caring for Ethan, Grace began noticing the mansion's darker side. Locked doors with double security, deliveries at midnight, technicians arriving secretly, late-night conversations in Marcus's office, his voice sharp and dangerous. One afternoon, while cleaning the private elevator, she found locked folders in a hidden compartment. Documents marked with codes. Company names that seemed fabricated, money transfers in the millions, signatures that looked forged. She took photos with her phone and kept them safe. Then Marcus's behavior changed. New cameras appeared, the guards became more alert, hidden listening devices emerged in corners. Grace realized she'd been noticed, not caught, but suspected. She became more careful, but she didn't stop. She had found something dangerous, and Ethan was living in the same house with a man capable of it. One evening, Ethan overheard Marcus on the phone. "It has to be done tomorrow. No mistakes. I want this problem gone." The boy's stomach twisted. He didn't understand everything, but he knew. The problem was Grace. He couldn't sleep. He paced his room, terrified, thinking about losing the only person who'd ever shown him kindness. Early the next morning, Grace used the private elevator to carry cleaning supplies to the upper floors. Routine. Habitual. She had no idea the trap was already set. As she approached it, Ethan came running around the corner, shouting her name. His face was red, his eyes desperate. "Stop!" he screamed. "Don't go inside!" Before she could respond, he threw himself in front of the elevator doors, blocking her path with his small body, tears streaming down his face. "It's a trap, Grace. It's a trap. My dad wants to hurt you." Then the elevator made a sickening sound. Metal groaned. The compartment dropped violently, plummeting down the shaft. The impact echoed through the halls. Grace froze. Seconds later, she would have been inside. The crash brought everyone running. Staff emerged from doorways. Guards rushed to the scene. Marcus appeared last, his face carefully composed. Ethan was still crying, still shaking against Grace. "He did it," Ethan shouted, pointing at his father. "He made the elevator fall. He wanted to hurt her." The hallway went silent. Marcus's expression flickered, surprise, anger, then calculation. He forced concern, kneeled beside Ethan, and whispered something only the boy could hear. A threat, a promise of punishment. But the staff had heard enough. Whispers began immediately. That night, Marcus ordered Grace removed. He called the police with accusations, stolen documents, unauthorized computer access, theft. When officers arrived, they found nothing incriminating on her, but Marcus's power and reputation carried weight. She was suspended immediately and forced from the house. Ethan watched from the window as she was escorted to the gate, his face shattered. Grace looked back once. Their eyes met, then she was gone. But Grace didn't disappear. She contacted a former employee of Marcus's, a man who'd left the company under mysterious circumstances. Together, they accessed old records, emails, transaction logs, and hidden accounts. Every file confirmed the corruption. Every piece of evidence proved the sabotage. Grace worked late into the nights, organizing, analyzing, building an undeniable case. Then she found something else in the files. Ethan's adoption was illegal. The paperwork was forged. Marcus had purchased the boy from a closed orphanage, erased his identity, and created fake records to hide the truth. Ethan wasn't just a son to Marcus. He was a tool, an image, a cover for a monster. Grace knew what had to be done. She moved the evidence to a secure location and contacted a lawyer specializing in whistleblower cases. She also left Ethan a hidden message through the school system, telling him to be patient, that she was coming back. Then came the news that changed everything. Every major television station ran the story simultaneously. Documentary-style footage, leaked documents spread across screens, voice recordings, video evidence. The scope of Marcus's crimes laid bare for the entire nation to see. Corruption, fraud, attempted murder, illegal adoption, conspiracy. Within hours, his companies collapsed, stock prices plummeted, business partners fled. His name became synonymous with lies and greed. Police surrounded the mansion that evening. Marcus tried to escape with forged documents and cash, but officers tackled him near the garage. Cameras captured the moment. The untouchable billionaire in handcuffs, his empire disintegrating in real time. Social workers entered the mansion with a single purpose: find Ethan and ensure his safety. The boy didn't resist. He'd been waiting for this. He held a drawing he'd made of Grace, and when they asked if he was ready to leave, he simply nodded. The courtroom was packed. Media, victims, former employees. The trial lasted weeks, with testimony after testimony exposing layers of corruption. Each witness added another piece to the puzzle. Each confession reinforced Grace's evidence. When Grace took the stand, the room fell silent. Her voice never wavered as she described the sabotage, the threats, the escape, the investigation. She talked about finding Ethan's forged adoption papers and how Marcus had used a child as part of his image while treating him with contempt. People wept, listening to her. The judge found Marcus guilty on all counts: corruption, fraud, attempted murder, illegal adoption, obstruction of justice. He was sentenced to decades in prison with no possibility of early parole. After the trial, the government seized Marcus's assets. His properties were liquidated. Money was returned to victims. Grace and Ethan received financial reparation and something more valuable: recognition and protection under the law. Grace became Ethan's legal guardian. They moved to a small, quiet house in the countryside. Nothing fancy, just warm and safe. A place where Ethan could be a child, a place where both of them could heal. Grace used part of the settlement to open a shelter for abandoned and abused children. She called it New Beginnings. Months passed. Ethan's laughter returned. He made friends at school. He smiled without hesitation. The shadows that once defined his life slowly dissolved. One morning, Grace stood outside their house watching the sunrise. Ethan came out, backpack in hand, ready for school. "Ready, Mom?" he asked. She took his hand and they walked together toward the bus stop. For the first time in her life, Grace understood what peace felt like. Not the absence of struggle, but the presence of purpose. She had faced a man with seemingly unlimited power and discovered that truth was stronger. Behind them, the mansion stood empty, a hollow shell, a monument to how power without conscience always collapses. Ahead of them, the sun rose over open fields. Ethan squeezed her hand and smiled. And Grace smiled back, knowing that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from breaking systems, but from building hope, one small child at a time.